Hello guys, this is Arcadia speaking. How are you doing? I'm very happy to do this video. It will be a guide for Restoration Shaman, patch 8.1.5. Yes, I'm very happy to do this because I saw a lot of fellow shamans complaining about the current meta in the main Shaman Discord. By the way, you can check the Shaman Discord is very nice. You can find a lot of very useful pieces of information. I will give you a link in the description below. But yes, you can ask all the questions you want, and all of guys will answer them very quickly. So it's very nice. And a lot of people are complaining about the meta, that the shaman is not so powerful compared to other healers, and that is not very easily for them and for us to push some very high keys. By high keys, I mean like plus 15 at least. And actually, I can say it is a bit true. It is a bit true that shaman are underperforming compared to Restoration Druid, for instance. But still, I can assure you, as a shaman, you can do pretty well. I recently push some like 19 and 20 plus keys. You can check the video in my channel if you wish. So it is doable. It is doable, and hopefully I will show you how to do this, and maybe you will learn some stuff. So I'm not the best shaman in the world, that's for sure. But recently, as I said, I was able to push some correct keys. And I feel, and even though I'm not having the best Radar.io score, I'm above 2k rating at the moment. And with only 2k, I'm like in the top 100 world as a Restoration Shaman healer. So it's crazy. And so I was saying to myself, okay, so maybe you can say something about that, and maybe some people will learn from it, and it will be a good thing. Okay, so first thing first, we're gonna be talking about the shaman strengths and the meta. So it is true that shaman lack battle res, and that's the main reason shaman are not taken compared to Restoration Druid, for instance. But we have some other very powerful tools in our kit. For instance, we have the elemental earth elemental, which can tank in some situations, and it's very useful. We have also a slow totem for enable our tank to kite very efficiently. It's very powerful. We have a stun totem as well for the reaping, for instance. It's very useful as well. We have a very quick interrupt. By quick, I mean with a very slow cooldown. So very useful. You should know that in every dungeon, some high spells need to be interrupted all the time. So it's very useful to have a very low CD interrupt, especially on healer. Our mana regeneration is quite okay, because we'll see later, but we have a very critical strike amount. So with our passive, the more critical strike we do, the more mana we get back. So mana regeneration is not so much an issue for shaman compared to monk or paladins, for instance. We have the X as well, so it allows us to CC one target at a time. It's very useful. It can be used as a stun sometimes to cut a spell. So keep that in mind. It's very useful. We have a quite okay mobility with the wolf, especially if you have the talents with it. And you have the Spirit Worker Grace, which allows you to cast while moving. And I'm using the talents, which reduces the cooldown on it as well, so that I can use it very often. And in dungeon and raids scenarios, I find it very, very, very useful because it allows me to dodge some mechanics while healing my group. And it's very useful. Why? Because as I'm not a restoration druid, I don't have many HOTS ticking all the time while I'm moving. So that's why it's very important for me to be able to heal my teammates while I'm dodging mechanics. So it's very important, and I think Shaman are okay doing so with those two talents. We have the Tremor Totem, very, very underrated and very powerful. It removes these fears and CCs, some CCs like mind control and stuff. Very powerful in a lot of dungeons, King Rest, for instance, Siege of Boralus also, and so on, and in a lot of raids also. We have the Heroism, that's for sure. We have an Offensive Dispel, so it does not allow us to dispel the Enrage, but in most cases you can dispel a lot of buff to your targets, and it's very, very useful. And I think that's pretty much it. So you see, it's a lot of very powerful tools which are underrated, I think, and Shaman are very strong with those. So do not forget them and use them wisely. Come on, guys. In terms of builds and talents, this is the one I'm running right now. So some lines are up to you, but this is the one I recommend. Undulation and Health Shield. This is boosting your single target healing, and it is true that as a shaman, it is the single target healing which is the most painful for us. So those two allow us to improve the single target healing. I will show you why in the rotation part. You can use Unleash Life as well to increase and boost your chain heals, but I think, in my opinion, that your single target will suffer too much if you do so. But yeah, I think it's up to you. You can pick one of those, but I would go for Undulation. Earth Shield to increase your single target. You always have to put this on the tank and keep it 100% of the time. Those three are very up to you. I like to go for Spirit Wolf and Graceful Spirit, as mentioned before, to increase my mobility. And Orphan Totem is very, very strong. I think, let me show you. Yeah, it's like almost 4% of my healing, so it's very, very powerful. And this is the key of this build. I'm using Flash Flood and High Tide. Why Flash Flood? Because I have a very low haste rating at the moment, and this allows me to cast very quick chain heals, which will be increased by the High Tide buff. And as you can see, Chain Heal goes for a very huge amount of my total healing. This is a sample from the Underrot plus 20 that we just pushed yesterday. So as you can see, Chain Heal is a lot of healing, and that's why I think it's definitely the way to go. I do not like using Cloudburst Totem in dungeon, because most of the time I think dungeons, especially in higher keys, you have to be somehow very you have to react very quickly, and Cloudburst is some healing that you accumulate and that will be released at some point, and it's very difficult to predict and to manage those healing explosions when you really need it. And that's why I think boosting all my chain heals on a very consistent basis, like during all the dungeon, is very, very, very strong. And that's why I really prefer going to boost my chain heals, which I have all the time. And I have some panic buttons. I have the Spirit Link, panic button. I have also my Trinket, which is the mirror of Entwined 8. Yes, so it's direct instant heal for around 80 to 90k, and I have like one hit out of 3 will be a critical strike, so it will be one case out of 3, at least 160 or 180k direct instant healing to my target, so it's a very useful panic button. So yes, definitely the way to go. I tried Ascendance as well, but it's a 3-minute cooldown, you know, it's very powerful, but you know, in my opinion and from my experience, I think having a very powerful chain heal across the whole dungeon is better to have another cooldown, in my opinion, if that makes sense. Because it means that, okay, sometimes you have to use it because it's a panic situation, or you use some cooldowns, and for the next 3 minutes you will be in really big trouble. So you have to be very careful with your CD management if you're going for Ascendance, and I think Flash Flood and ITAD is very more permissive. In terms of affixes, so there are some that are very okay for Shaman and some that are very complicated. So let's jump into it. Bolstering is for DPS, so it's okay. Bursting, the very important thing about bursting is you have to be prepared. It means that you have to prepare your tidal waves buff procs, and you have to proc your Flash Flood passive as well, so that you will be able to cast very fast chain heals and go into your rotation very efficiently, and so that you top up all your teammates right away, and you do not let the bursting ticking too much. If that makes sense, I will show you how you do it in the rotation section just after, but just remember, for bursting you have to really prepare your buff before the bursting ticks. It's very important. Explosive is very easy. You have the flame shock, and if you have the flame shock that procs your instant lava burst, you can one-shot the explosives, so it's very easy for us to deal with it. Fortified and tyrannical, it really depends on you and your personal preferences. Personally, I strongly prefer the fortified weeks because I think the boss in tyrannical are way more. You have way more hero possible mistakes that you can make. Like if you miss some spells in tyrannical, you are one shot instantly, and most of the time in a boss fight it means that you will wipe and you will lose a lot of time. But in case of fortified weeks, I think dealing with the minions is easier for me, and the mechanics are easier to handle. It is my personal point of view. Some people maybe know the strats like by heart very intensely, so they manage better the tyrannical weeks. It's totally okay, but I prefer the 45 weeks. Grievous, okay, it starts to be very painful for us. Why? Because as I said, we have low haste, even though we have Flash Flood, but it's very painful to top up one teammate, so be careful about that, especially that if you use your Spirit Link, if someone is very low, it means that you will give the Grievous debuff to all your teammates at a time. So be careful with that. Grievous is a very painful affix for us. Necrotic is not that bad. You have to handle with the slow, and it really depends on your tank as well. Keep in mind that you have a slow totem, So use it wisely. You have also your Earth Elemental, which can help the tank and destack him a bit. Quaking is painful for every healers because it means that it can break our mana regeneration if you want to sit and drink. And it can break some very important casts as well. So, and we do not have that much hot ticking. So yes, quaking is not very good for us, but you know. Ripping is okay. Ripping is okay because once again we have the Earth Elemental. We can interrupt some ripping cast. We have the stun totem as well to stun maybe the casters that are far away, so that they will come next to the tank. So we have a lot of tools to deal with it. So not a big deal for ripping. Sanguine, Squittish, Teaming, and Volcanic is meh, I guess. Not very hard, not very easy. It really depends on the dungeon you're doing, on your team as well. So nothing special about Shaman here. And Tyrannical, as I said before, it really depends on your personal preferences. The rotation now, so it's kind of easy and straightforward. Let me go somewhere around here, would be okay. So the first thing, very important, is that we are going to use our tidal waves a lot. Oh, sorry, I totally forgot to talk about my Azerite traits and my trinkets. Yes. So in terms of Azerite traits, I'm using 3 times the Splitting Spirit, which I think is very powerful. It allows you to use the Spirit Link in a very panic button, like because it will give a lot of health back to every of your teammates. It's very powerful. I strongly recommend that you stack up to 3 times. Overflowing Shores is very strong as well. It increases the radius of your healing rain and it adds direct healing in all the members who are in the first tick of your healing rain, so very powerful. I only have once. I think it is enough. Maybe you can stack up to 2 times if you can do it. Treacherous Covenant is very strong also. It increases our main stat, which is intellect, by almost 400. So it is a lot. I recommend using it as well. Very powerful. I'm using a ton of the Tide also because as you will see in the rotation part, we are using the tidal wave buff very often, so it increases our heals by a lot as well. You can switch it to the healing rain Azerite traits if you want. And all those are totally up to you. I have 3 420 items for heads, shoulders, and torso, and chest. Yes, in terms of trinkets, I have the Incandescent Silver in 425, so that's why I'm using it. It's not so powerful in a raid situation, but in a dungeon situation it's very powerful because you have not so much mate that can stack next to you, and so that you're not able to stack your Incandescent Silver buffs. Especially if you have like 1 or 2 melees in your group, it's very easy to stack it up to 10 stacks, and increases your critical strike by a lot, and critical strike is very key to Restoration Shaman, so definitely a way to go. But the Alchemy Stone is very strong as well. I'm using the Mirror because as I said before, it gives me an extra panic button, which heals by a sheer amount. Let me show you. to the overall of the dungeon, the mirror is almost as much as the healing tide totem, so it's crazy, almost 1 million. How many times did I use it? 7 times. So you see, and average, you see average 136k. It's crazy. You can top up your tank or someone of your mate that took a mechanic and is very low in health. You can instant 100% health with this trinket. So it's very useful. I like it a lot. For sure, you have the ward of envelopment, which is very strong also. The conch, the alchemy stone, I already talked about it. It really depends on the proc you have on it and the high level on these trinkets. As I'm not having so much mana issue, I think those two are the way to go for me. But it really depends on the procs you have, guys. So do not worry. Alchemy stones once again is very strong, and conch as well. So in terms of rotations, so the very basics, you have to keep your earth shield up 100% of the time on your tank, and you have to keep the riptide all the time on your tank as well. So as you may have noticed, but when you're using a chain heal or riptide, you gain 1 buff of tidal wave, and tidal wave increased your cast speed of healing wave by 35%, and the crit chance of your healing surge. And when you consume 1 stack of tidal wave, you will get 1 stack of flash flood, okay, which increase the cast of your next healing spell. So this is how it works. You stack your tidal waves up to 2, okay, and then you go for healing wave, you get flash flood, you go chain heal, you get these 2 stacks now, and now you go back to healing wave, chain heal, healing wave, chain heal, and so on and so on. And now I have the high tide buff. I go for healing wave, chain heal, which is boosted by those 2. I go for healing wave, chain heal. My next healing wave will be boosted by ondulation. You see, it's very easy. Healing wave, chain heal, healing wave, chain heal, healing wave, chain heal. Very easy. And this is the very basic. You have to keep your healing rain running all the time. You have to put your healing stream totem on cooldown as well. And you have your panic button, SLT, healing tide. You have your earthen wall totem as well that you can use often. You have your trinkets, your mirror. And when you are in this situation, you have to build your tidal wave stuff. So you go for riptide, healing surge if you need some very quick healing, and go back to chain heal, healing wave, totem, chain heal, healing wave, healing rain, and so on. See, very easy, and that's what allows me to top up my teammates and to push some dungeons. So I know it's a bit risky because some people might say that with a shaman it's very difficult to have all your teammates up to 100% of health all the time. That is true, especially that our mastery increases our healing stuff when the less people have life, the more we heal. So you have to find a good balance between keeping your team not so low, but enough so that it increases your health. I think that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any question, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will see every one of them and answer them as quick as I can. If you have any in-depth question, feel free to check, as I said, the main Shaman Discord. The guys are very nice and they will answer you very quickly. as well. On my part, I will try to upload some extra mythic dungeons as a restoration shaman, and so that you guys can have a better understanding and idea with different affixes on how I deal with it. Well, that's it, guys. I hope you found it very interesting and you learned some stuff. And see you next time. Bye bye.